Hey, who has the better chicken, KFC or Popeyes? Let's discuss.
I love it,
Good
Rob.
morning.
We're calling this Chicken Wars. I love it. Chicken
There you go.
Wars.
Yeah, I apologize. My screen's a little laggy, so if I look like I'm
No,
puffing,
you're
that's
good.
why.
You're
Okay,
good.
cool. All right, guys. So, KFC versus Popeyes, probably one of the oldest rivalries since, I don't know, McDonald's and Burger King, maybe. I will caveat I'm going into this with a bias, so we'll see if, it happens. Um, but I guess to start off, let's do a little bit of the background for both. So the KFC one we know by heart because thanks to History Channel, it's always on TV. But for those who don't know, Harlan Sanders, the face behind KFC, officially started back in 1930. Now, if you guys didn't know this, he actually didn't own anything. Because of the fact that he didn't have enough money to keep it up, he actually had to sell KFC off almost immediately. However, those guys asked him to stay on as the face because they wanted
The
the
brand. It was
commitment,
his
I guess.
brand. Yeah. And it was his
So
brand.
Harlan Sanders really did not make a dollar off of this, which kind of sucks.
That sucks.
However, we now have his 11 herbs and spices, as they say. And fun fact, I think somebody on YouTube apparently made KFC chicken, so it's no longer a secret, but that's for another show.
Another show.
Um, so back in 1952 is when they first started franchising, and that's when we got the first taste of KFC chicken. Now, at that point, it was strictly the chicken breast and the wing. Of course, now we have the tenders, we have the nuggets, and all that stuff as well. There are more than 600 KFC locations in the US and Canada, and that all began in the 1960s. So you can only imagine at this point, there's probably even more. And for $2 million, he sold KFC to. Today, that's not a lot, but I guess at the time being, it probably was, maybe.
Right.
As a
Right.
entrepreneur and as you are, I don't know if I'd want to give up my thing that easily, but hey, you got to do what you got to do for
You
that.
never know.
So while as KFC started way back when, Popeyes didn't start actually until 1972. And whereas Kentucky Fried Chicken was in Kentucky, Popeyes started in Louisiana, and that's the difference here. Kentucky Fried Chicken is made differently than Louisiana. We will note probably later that Popeyes does different seasonings
Right.
because in New Orleans they are big on the
It's
spice, the grilled, the fried, all that
Creole.
stuff.
Yeah, the Creole. It's spicy. It's got that really good taste. Yeah.
And it's good. I got to give them credit. They definitely do chicken very well. So that was back in 72. All right, come on. Here we go. So the traditional chicken was served, and it was called chicken on the run before it was changed to Popeyes. Um, Once they added red beans and rice, jambalaya, and gumbo, they actually changed it to Popeyes chicken and biscuits in 1976. And then in
Okay.
1993, a company called Favorite Chicken that also owns Church's Chicken. And if you guys are actually local to LA, that's like a big deal over here. Church's,
Right.
they're under the same company as Popeyes. And in 1993, Popeyes became what it is today.
Got it.
Today, there's more than 3,000 locations, over 30 nations. So not just in America. If you've
Wow.
watched other shows on YouTube, you know that the UK has one. I think Japan might have one. A lot of countries now have a Popeyes. So that's
Right.
the basis behind it. We'll go into more as we talk, obviously. But I'll ask you off the bat. Obviously, there was a 40-year difference between Popeyes and KFC. KFC had 40 years ahead of Popeyes.
Right.
Do you think, though, I mean, and I'll give you my answer. Do you think, though, that it really doesn't matter the time? If you're good at what you're doing, you're going to get popular anyway? Or do you think KFC had a upper hand?
Well, I mean, they were around longer, so they had the name recognition. But as you just said, if the chicken tastes good, it will create a following for it, and then it doesn't really matter. I mean, again, and as we're going to taste it, we do know that it has different tastes. And you mentioned because of the seasonings and stuff like that. So I,
Right.
I think they stand alone, all by themselves.
So there we go. So, all right. So we're going to caveat here again. We're going to do different. You are more of a fan of fried chicken. I'll ask you why in a second. I'm doing the tenders personally. And the reason why I'm doing tenders, just easier to eat, I think. In my opinion, I know they're not as healthy because there's more fry on it, but I think there's more actual filling for me. For fried chicken, personally, the bone, all that stuff. It's not really my cup of tea. So why is fried over just pieces of chicken better for you?
Well, because fried chicken is an experience. It's an experience. Some people, I pick it up, even though, most people, when you eat chicken, you use a knife and fork, right? But fried chicken, you pick it up in your hands. It's an experience. And so
So
for me,
let me get real for a second here. I'm
yeah,
gonna get a little real and kind of rant for a minute. But I will gotta say, because the thing that differentiates or doesn't differentiate is the fact that the word tender, nugget, and piece is used repeatedly for it. So for instance, you can go to KFC and get either tenders, nuggets, or popcorn chicken. You
right.
can go to KFC, get tenders and nuggets. Now, when we talk about the nutrition, we're going to go over this, but I do want to caveat that another place called Cane's Chicken, the tenders at those three places somehow have the same nutrition value. And what I read was that really the chicken tender is made one way. You have the piece of chicken, which legally I think has to be from the inside of the chicken breast.
It's called a
You
tender.
fry it,
Yep.
and the only difference between the places is really the seasoning. So we'll go into that later, but I wanted to kind of get real for a minute because whereas fried chicken, you kind of do it one way, tenders literally is only one way to do it. You can mix and match, but what do you think? I mean, for me, it's a big deal because I eat tenders all the time. And if you were to put down, Popeyes versus maybe like a Red Robin versus something like that, other than maybe the visual piece, I probably couldn't tell you the difference of who it was because to me, other than a little bit of spice, tenders are tenders.
Right. And chicken though, and we're going to talk about that because right before we went on, I was showing you the size difference in the chicken breasts,
Yeah,
right? So when you get tenders, they're generally a tender is a tender. It's a particular size. It comes from a particular part of the breast. It might be slightly larger or smaller depending on the breast size. But what's interesting is, and again, I talk about the experience. I like having the bones. I like eating the chicken off the bones. I like pulling it. I mean, it's an experience. And you want to, for me, I mean, I will literally eat that bone clean. And I know there are people that will eat chicken and leave chicken on the bone and they're happy and they're satisfied. So I think it's an experience and whatever experience you have. Which one do you want to eat first? Because I actually want to show the difference between
okay,
the
so I'm going to start with the KFC because it's a little lackluster to me on my side, and I think it's a little lackluster on yours as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the big difference here is you can buy, okay, that's a tender. I'm going to pull out the breast. The first thing that I'm noticing with the breast on the bone is it's kind of wet and mushy on the bottom. And I
Yes,
don't know if it's just sitting in the grease that's in there, but there's skin. Now, do tenders have skin?
that's a really good question.
I don't think so.
I think that's what they have to fry it, but maybe they just fry the chicken. I
Yeah,
don't know. I
they
don't.
just put the breading on. So there's no, I don't think there's skin on tenders because they're literally cutting the chicken out of the breast. But in a chicken breast, there's skin, which I know is the least healthy part of the entire thing.
Right.
It's the best.
Now, obviously, it's been sitting for a minute, so it's a little bit cold.
Right.
But because when we went to go grab it, and oh, I will also say too, I'm a little concerned as that why it's open at 10 a.m. Who's buying chicken at like 9 o'clock in the morning? That's a little weird.
Well,
But
apparently you can now have chicken sandwiches for breakfast.
that is true, yeah. So I will say the KFC, if I remember it right, it tasted much more greasy and artificial.
It's
This one here
yeah.
actually tastes more chicken than it used to. So maybe they changed
I
their
don't know.
chicken.
I've got this. So I just pulled the skin off. The skin is great. I mean, if you like fried food, KFC does a good job. I mean, the seasonings are great. The chicken is kind of. I'm going to eat the chicken. I'm just going to take a bite. Actually, it's chicken. It's chicken. It does come. So we got it for me. We got a chicken breast and a wing. And again, I want to show you the size of this. This is what they're calling a wing. It's a chicken leg. I just want to point this out. And Rob, I'm laughing because you said that to me. Sometimes they just throw the wrong pieces in, and but this
Well,
is a leg.
when we ordered, we did say it. However, they didn't actually like confirm. They just said, "Okay, two pieces of chicken. Cool. This is the total. Go to your next window." So even if you do ask, I
Yeah.
don't think they necessarily like.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So
So
this
do we want to move to the Popeye, or you want? Oh, you finished the KFC.
so this two-piecer also comes with, and does yours come with mashed
So
potatoes?
that was actually funny because we on the site when you look, it says no matter what you have to get a thing. But when we went there, they said, "Do you want the tenders by themselves or with a combo?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, by themselves," because obviously we don't have so much food. So even though the menu says it has to be a combo, if you go to get it, you can just say, I want 2 or 3 pieces of chicken, and that's it. However, for some reason on your KFC, they didn't give us that option for the fried chicken, only
Interesting.
for the tenders.
Interesting. All right.
So,
Well,
like when I got the KFC chicken tenders, they said, "Oh, you want this just the tenders?" And we're like, "Okay, cool."
so the
So,
question I have is: Are the tenders greasy?
not as bad as I thought. And I'm looking at the paper, and I was expecting it to be kind of wet and stuff. I don't think, and and again, this is just probably how they do it. I know how when they kind of mass cook it and they kind of have it in a thing, it might have already been maybe made a few minutes prior, so maybe it already dried out a little bit. Because I did eat it and I did feel a little bit dry chicken
Right.
piece, so that could be.
Yeah, I'm curious what our viewers are thinking. Do you have do you eat KFC, guys? Do you eat Popeyes? Let us know in the chat. I think we're going to move over to the Popeyes. Now, remember I said the size of that breast? What you saw it? Look at
Yes,
the size of this breast.
and I will tell you because I've watched many a thing on people eating Popeyes, and they are generous. Like
Look at this. It's like night and day.
they are generous with their food. I will tell you that.
So I'm going to take a bite again because I started with the skin on the other one. So, and this is really, really crispy. So that's the big difference right off the bat. Popeye has really, really crispy
Mm-hmm.
coating. It's crunchy. I mean, I can literally hear it crunch.
Even
And
after sitting for a minute, it still has a crunch.
mhm. And the chicken looks the same. It has that same kind of glossy look on it. But let's take a bite. Can you taste the difference on yours?
I think because it's tender, not so much. But as far as the crispy and the cook on the Popeyes, it tastes a little more out of the oven, immediate.
Yeah. I like,
And
yeah, so much better. Popeyes is so much better. The chicken isn't greasy. It tastes.
and I wonder, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but a lot of people are. Oh, it looks like Krista. So that's actually a thing people are saying. A lot of people feel
Yeah,
that KFC has kind of dropped the ball because they've been around so long, and they
yeah,
kind of go, a certain Kentucky chain is kind of losing its grip because they're sliding so much.
right.
So I feel like KFC is fine. KFC works, but as far as quality and standards, other chicken places like Popeyes, like Cane's, like all that stuff,
Right.
I think they are becoming the better.
This is an actual wing
There you go. See,
compared to KFC wing, which is also known as a leg. Oh my God. It is so, it's still greasy. Everything is greasy. Oh my God. Oh, okay.
good.
So you started the show by saying, Rob, you already had a preconceived what you thought was, I'm curious. So what was it? Curious.
Popeyes. Um, as Krista mentioned, we just went back recently. I think the last time I had Popeyes before we went, probably a while ago because there wasn't really a Popeyes nearby.
Right.
But going back in, I think we got the nuggets because they have really good nuggets that you can get. Again, just pieces of tender, nothing different. And quality wise, it is good. Now, the KFC, I will tell you, I thought it was going to be much worse than it was. It's not bad,
No.
but KFC is more. It's kind of like frozen market tenders, like when you go and you get like Tyson. And again, there's nothing against. And actually, I was going to bring that up too because you do have companies like Tyson that make chicken tenders. None of that is bad, but if you're looking for chicken, you only, in my opinion, you can only get it at so many places that actually give chicken. And if you're going to put your name on it from like a state,
Right.
you kind of have to back it up. And for some reason, when I eat Kentucky Fried Chicken, I don't feel like Kentucky would be happy with Kentucky Fried Chicken. And again, maybe Popeyes wouldn't be either, but at least Popeyes to me seems like they give more of a damn to their chicken.
I'm
I don't
curious if
know.
any of these, because the new thing now is that a lot of us air fry our fried chicken, right? We don't put it into all that oil and the grease and whatever. I don't feel like we get as much grease on the Pioneer. I'm sorry, on the Popeyes chicken. It doesn't seem as greasy. I mean, in fact, I stuck it on a napkin and nothing came off on the napkin. On the other hand, I put the Kentucky Fried Chicken on a napkin and it's like soaked through. So if I would have to vote, I would totally be voting. Well, I do have to vote because it's the taste. I am voting. My preference is for Popeyes. I also like the fact that they didn't make you have to buy mashed potatoes and a muffin or a biscuit along with it. You were able just to get chicken for those of us who just want to eat chicken.
Right.
Curious, if you guys picked up the chicken, was there a huge difference in price?
Yeah, I believe the KFC was somewhere around 20. The Popeyes was somewhere around, I think, 25, 26.
Interesting.
I mean, we did get a little extra because she got some as well. So maybe if you minus one, it would maybe be
So
23.
maybe it's the
But I
same.
think Popeyes is a little bit more
It's worth it.
expensive, but I think it's higher quality, you know?
Yeah, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. You get bigger pieces of chicken. It's going to feed. I mean, I'm not a huge eater, so I could probably share that. I know, guys. I could probably share that though, because it's huge. The Kentucky Fried Chicken one, probably not. And it's because it's made a huge difference on the size, and besides, it's slipping right off my hands. I'm trying to figure out what to wipe them on right now. It's kind of gross. Yeah, kind of gross. So, Rob, I know we have some really cool things to share.
Right. So we're going to go over the nutrition, I believe, next.
Yep. So let's put this up.
Right.
And I'm going to put us like this and get rid of that screen because I can do that. Right? I'm going to get rid of this. All right. So you see Popeyes at the top left, KFC at the top right, and we have the fried chicken 2 pieces, which were the ones that I ate, both a breast and a wing. However, we know that the KFC was a breast and a leg. But
Right.
I find this fascinating. Okay, so the calories for the Popeyes, which is so much bigger, anyways, right? We know it's bigger, is 1,100, almost 1,200 calories. Think about that for a second. That's a lot of calories for 2 pieces of chicken. Fat, 70 grams. Sodium, 2,260 milligrams of sodium. That's a lot. Now compare that with the fried chicken from KFC. 300 calories less, but it's smaller. And
Right.
the fat is 47 grams and the sodium. So everything is smaller. But I have to say, even being small, it's not that much smaller. So Popeyes has quite a bit more calories and fat and sodium in it. Now, your chicken tenders, Rob, I mean, you can see the difference. It's all the same, both sides, 224 calories. You know how we could eat and how many tenders came in there? 2 pieces?
So this one came with 3, but I think it's 2 or 3 tenders depending on where you pick it
All
up.
right, so 224 calories, that's almost nothing. And so if you are, as you said, you get more filled up on these things and you can eat more if you wanted to max it out. Only 12 grams of fat.
Which is pretty crazy considering I think boneless wings are more calorific and they're smaller than tenders. So I'm not really sure how that,
I'm not really sure either.
you know.
And the calories, I mean, obviously just half of it. It's or a quarter of it actually. No, I'm sorry, my math is bad. A third of it, the third of the calories. I'm not good at math. But these are some interesting choices. So you're either going to go for taste. Maybe if you really like the Popeyes, have 1 piece rather than 2, right?
Right.
Which would help with the calories. But if you're going to spend the calories, you might as well get something that you really like. That's my feeling. If you're going to eat fast food, eat something that at least tastes good and doesn't leave you going blech, blech. That's a technical term, Rob. Blech.
In the cooking world, right? Yeah.
In the cooking world. All right. So we want to share a couple of it. Let's see here. Still weird. Yes, I'm going to put you up. It's the same across. Isn't that? It is weird. I don't even know how that works, but it did. It totally works. All right. So let's take a look at some of our taste swag. We have the unisex tri-blend T-shirt. Rob, I think you have one coming in the mail. So we're going to be able to show everyone what this looks like. It's great. The quality of the T-shirt is great. It has a great feel to it. Check it out. Also, for those of you who cook a lot, or maybe you don't even cook a lot. Maybe you do arts and crafts and you make a mess all the time. You might want to get yourself an adjustable apron, which has the taste on the front of it, which I really like. And of course, the water bottle, because we can never have too many water bottles, I think.
True.
And this is coming from me. I will have my coffee mug the next time that we see you, because I'll be drinking coffee in the Taste Contrast coffee mug. Check out these items. What else we have? Anything else, Rob?
No, I think I'm going to take a nap because there's a lot of chicken.
I think I'm going to go rinse my mouth out. Is what I'm
Yes.
gonna do.
Yes. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank if you had a chance to go ahead and scan those QR codes, we put the links in the chat as well to go pick up some of those items. We thank you for joining us on this tasty journey that we're on. I have no idea what we're doing next, but I'm sure it's going to be fun. It'll be a surprise for all of us, I guess.
It will be.
Yay. All right, guys, go out and give somebody an awesome day. See you next time on The Taste.